Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to be reading the Jetsons, The Birthday Surprise. "Wish I could drive a flying saucer," said Elroy Jetson. "These old flying boots are so slow." His mother smiled. "Those boys who lived back in the 20th century wouldn't have thought so," she said. "Ask Uncle Ben." Elroy nodded. "Uncle Ben says kids walked then, or got around on things with wheels." Uncle Ben was studying the 20th century. Elroy liked to hear how boys lived then, and he wanted to visit Uncle Ben for another reason. He had a problem, a birthday problem. Uncle Ben looked up as Elroy came into his workroom. "Elroy," he said, "I was just making something for you." "What is it?" asked Elroy. He couldn't guess. "An honest-to-goodness 20th century pogo stick," said Uncle Ben. "Want to try it?" Elroy did. "Thanks, Uncle Ben," he said between hops. "You're always giving me nice surprises." And that was Elroy's problem. He thought it was about time he gave Uncle Ben a nice surprise, a birthday surprise. But what could it be? "Uncle Ben," said Elroy, "what do you want very much?" "Lunch," said Uncle Ben, pushing the pizza button. "Aw, Uncle Ben, don't tease," said Elroy, catching the pizza. "What do you really want, like for your birthday?" "Well," Uncle Ben grinned, "a 20th century horse, maybe, or oh, Uncle Ben, I mean..." Just then, a bell rang. Elroy's mother appeared on the TV. "Elroy," she said, "I told Mrs. Zones you would help her clean her attic." "But Mom," began Elroy. "And don't let her pay you for it," his mother added. "She'll be good to us." "But Mom," Elroy began again. He was stopped by his mother's look. "Oh, all right," he said. He started off right after lunch, but he set his speed to very slow. "Now," he thought gloomily, "how will I ever find out what to give Uncle Ben for his birthday?" Mrs. Zones was glad Elroy had come. "An attic full of things, old things, can't be cleaned by pushing buttons," she said. "Central sprinkling would ruin them. Has to be done the old way." She handed Elroy a strange-looking thing. "What's this?" he asked. "A broom," said Mrs. Zones, and she showed him how to use it. Then she said, "Do a good job, and you can choose something to take home." Elroy couldn't think what he might want. He didn't even know what most of those things had been used for. But he worked hard, some of the time, and some of the time he stopped to wonder what things were. He thought food or something should come out of this, but nothing came out. This could have been used for catching things, he thought, but this strange-looking thing really puzzled him until he opened it up. One of those first flying saucers, he decided. The hard work began to make Elroy tired. He wished they would hurry up and finish. Then suddenly he saw something that made his eyes grow big. He didn't know what it was, but he knew he wanted it. For Uncle Ben, he thought. But would Mrs. Jones let me have a big thing like that? He didn't dare ask. He began to dust so hard that they both sneezed. Mrs. Zones decided it was time to stop working. "I'll be back tomorrow," said Elroy. He didn't dare ask the next day either, but he did work hard that day, and he hoped just as hard. Finally, Mrs. Zones looked over her clean attic. "Have you decided what you would like?" she asked. Elroy took a deep breath. He pointed behind the trunk. "That," he said. "Why, I don't know, Elroy," she said. "What do you want of that in this day?" Elroy's hopes sank lower. "But, well, you surely earned it. It's yours." Elroy gave a shout of joy. He called his dad to help him take it home. Elroy was so eager to give Uncle Ben his present that he could hardly wait. But Uncle Ben's birthday finally came. And this year, thought Elroy happily as his mother popped him out of bed, Uncle Ben will be really surprised. And Uncle Ben was. He stared at his gift, he closed his eyes and opened them again as if he couldn't quite believe what he saw. "What do you know?" he said. "A real honest-to-goodness 20th century, what do you call it?" "What do you call it?" asked Elroy. "Don't know," said Uncle Ben. "Have to look it up. Easier to know what it is than what it isn't. It isn't a roller skate. Not enough wheels. Or a..." He turned a page. "Ah, here it is. I think you sit on it, put your feet on the thingamajigs, and away you go." But Uncle Ben didn't go very fast. He said. "Trickier than it looks." Then Elroy had an idea. He began to feel so excited he could hardly stand it. "I think that other seat's for me," he said. "Maybe it takes two to make it go." "Maybe. So said Uncle Ben. He helped Elroy onto the seat, but Elroy didn't quite fit. Said Uncle Ben. "Seems to me that your legs are a mite too high up, or the thingamajigs are a mite too low down. Probably a little of both. But," he said, taking the bicycle and Elroy in his workroom, "I'll fix that." And he did. But that didn't work either. "Guess this, what do you call it, isn't what made to work on moving walks," said Uncle Ben. Elroy was sad. "We'll never ride it, I guess," he said. "Never is a long time," said Uncle Ben, heading for his workroom. "What are you doing?" called Elroy. "Something," answered Uncle Ben. "When are we going to ride that, what do you call it?" asked Elroy. "Sometime," answered Uncle Ben, but Elroy wasn't so sure. At last Uncle Ben came out. "Now," he said, "we will ride." And they did. Like this. Uncle Ben pedaled and Elroy steered, and they zoomed off into the air on the first flying bicycle of the space age. "Good as a saucer. Eh, Elroy?" said Uncle Ben. "Better," said Elroy, "'cause I can drive." The end.